Transformative ethics. The power of choosing the path of good in a world of challenges. We live in an age where the word ethics seems to be everywhere, yet few truly understand its real meaning. Ethics is not just a rigid set of rules imposed by religion or culture. Above all, it is a rational exercise, a conscious personal choice each individual makes to act with respect, justice, and responsibility. Unlike morals, which are often tied to religious beliefs and ideas of divine punishment or reward, ethics transcends these concepts. It does not depend on the gaze of a watching God, but on the reflection we cast upon ourselves and society. Ethics is the foundation of human coexistence, the silent language that ensures our actions do not harm others and promote collective harmony. But what really stops us from acting ethically? Why do we follow certain codes even when no one is watching? This is the key reflection. Ethics maintains the integrity of our actions, independent of fear or hope for supernatural recompense. It is the invisible contract between human beings to respect boundaries, care for other spaces, and live together peacefully. When we understand ethics as a rational and conscious choice, we begin to see it not as a burden but as a power. The power to shape a better world, where mutual respect is the rule, not the exception. It's an internal compass guiding decisions beyond mere obedience to external norms. At this point, we must ask, what would happen if, even without punishments or rewards, we continued to act ethically? The answer reveals the essence of true ethics. It is the highest expression of responsible freedom, where individual and collective well-being coexist in balance. Ethics is not only in grand heroic acts or world-changing decisions, it manifests in everyday small actions. From the simple act of keeping our voices down in public spaces to respecting someone else's place on a crowded subway, these behaviors show how ethics permeate our daily lives. Consider the gestures of saying thank you, excusing yourself, or simply not interrupting someone speaking. These small details, often underestimated, are pillars of good coexistence and show how much we care for others. Etiquette, often mistaken for fussiness or formality, is actually an essential ethical tool that harmonizes our relationships. At work, ethical lapses might seem subtle, using company time for personal matters, taking office supplies without permission, or failing to fulfill agreed responsibilities. Yet these microacts corrode trust, harm the team, and ultimately weaken the entire social and economic structure around us. Understanding that we should not take advantage of situations just because no one is watching is key to building a fairer society. Ethics strengthens in silent integrity, the choice to do right even without an audience or spotlight. Therefore, every time we choose to respect others' space, act with transparency and honesty, we plant seeds for an environment where the collective flourishes. It's some of these small choices that builds a nation's character and the future for coming generations. No true transformation happens without responsibility, and responsibility begins with the I. How often do we find ourselves criticizing social, political, or environmental problems while excusing ourselves from any role in the solution? It's time to face the truth. The world around us reflects the individual choices each person makes. When we say others are corrupt, backward, or disrespectful, we avoid looking inward and accepting our share of responsibility. Responsibility means recognizing we are part of the problem, but, more importantly, part of the solution. Educating ourselves ethically means understanding that every action, no matter how small, has impact. From respecting schedules and caring for our environment to voting conscientiously, everything involves exercising personal responsibility. It's the daily decision to act for the benefit of the collective. By taking responsibility, we stop being passive spectators and become protagonists of our story and society's story. This awakening is where genuine change begins, because we cannot expect transformation if we are unwilling to change ourselves first. This attitude is what distinguishes countries, communities, and organizations that thrive on ethics and justice from those mired in chaos and distrust. The individual's micro-ethical behavior shapes the macro-social landscape. The classical philosopher Aristotle taught us a fundamental lesson. Ethical virtue is not innate, but built through habit. No one is born ethical. No one wakes up with a manual for good behavior installed. Ethics is learned and practiced daily until it becomes part of our essence. This means ethical choices largely result from training and discipline, setting boundaries, respecting others, doing what's right even when it's hard. All are cultivated by constant habit. Ethical education starts in childhood, but docenti ends there. Adults can and should also train themselves to act with integrity. Many current ethical challenges stem from unclear boundaries and lack of firm education, teaching, respect, and responsibility. Fear of imposing rules breeds permissiveness, and permissiveness creates adults unprepared for social coexistence demands. The habit of virtue transforms ordinary people into exceptional beings, capable of making decisions that benefit themselves and the collective. It's the daily construction of a solid character that resists the temptations of immediacy and convenience. So, if we want a more just, transparent, and respectful society, we must start by cultivating ethical habits in our daily actions and encouraging this practice in everyone around us. One of the most powerful ethical rules is understanding that one person's freedom ends where another's begins. This may seem simple, but is the great challenge of social coexistence. Negotiating space, rights, and desires without harming those beside us. Respecting other space means controlling impulses, listening, yielding, and understanding our individual freedom is not absolute. When I yell on a busy New York